comes from the Kalahari Desert. Very tip, and it's a Bushman tale. And I told it a lot this summer because it was so bloody hot all summer. And that sun was hot, so we're going to tell that. We'd like to teach you a song that's going to come around in this story. And it wasn't in the original story, but we thought it would work really well tonight.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. Rough, it's rough being a dog. Try that with me. Rough, it's rough being a dog. Got nothing to do, no place to go at all. I think I'll take a little drink out of my bowl. Rough, it's rough being a dog.
But just as soon as that sun would start to set behind the mountain, this man who didn't like the night would be filled with fear. And he would look up at the darkening sky and he'd say, night again. Terrible night. And he would grab that guitar and call for Fred, and off they would go. He would lock them up in their house. And every once in a while they would go and look out those windows, but there was nothing to see but darkness. So he would blow out his lamp and pull those covers over his head. One morning he got up when the sun rose. He went out and spent his day happily tending to the crops in the field, and he watered all those vegetables in his garden, and then he fed the animals on the farm. All those chores were done. He walked out of the barn at the end of the day and sat down and started playing some songs for Fred.
Rough, it's rough being a dog. Nothing to do, no place to go at all. I think I'll take a little drink out of my bowl. Rough, it's rough being a dog.
Well, they got so carried away with the song that night that they lost all track of time. And the next time he looked up, that sun had already set behind the mountain, and he was filled with fear and said, there's that night again. Terrible night. He grabbed the guitar and called for Fred, and they were headed for home to lock themselves up in that house. But he got an idea before he entered the house. He remembered something his mom had told him when he was just a little boy. One night she was putting him to bed and she said, honey, you shouldn't be afraid of the night. The night's a really nice lady. He remembered looking up at his mom and thinking how funny that was, and thinking maybe she was just saying that so he would go to sleep that night. But then he remembered she had never lied to him. And so that night, instead of going inside, even though he was afraid, he decided he would go and find out whether the night was a nice lady. Put on some hiking boots, he grabbed a walking stick, and he called for Fred.
Rough, it's rough being a dog. Not something to do, someplace to go after all. Think I'll take a little drink out of my bowl. Rough, it's rough being a dog.
So off they went, Fred and the man, and they climbed and they climbed and they climbed to the very highest part of that mountain. And he grabbed a hold of that walking stick and looked up at all that dark sky above his head. And he said, Night, I want you to stop. And she stopped moving. And she spoke to the man in a cool, low voice. She said, Yes, man. Why have you come? What can I help you with? And he looked up and said, My mom was right. You are a really nice lady. But I don't like you. When you come